The black screen of death. Welcome back to pushing technology to the limit. This is not just on the black screen of death. This is for any screen of death. Whether you have a blue screen of death, a black screen of death. This week, I've actually had some issues with my one computer. It's a little older system, and it's actually had a Windows downgrade on it. I really can't remember what was on it before that, but I've downgraded it to XP again, Professional. And so far, there's been some issues with this computer. For a while now, the computer has been having the blue screen of death. And at first, I really didn't know why it was happening. And I've had this issue before in times past, and I was able to fix it. Now, when you look at blue screen of death on the internet or the black screen of death, I didn't find the information there very helpful. Now, what I looked at the black screen of death, the first website I looked at said, well, it could be a possible hardware issue. And then it said it could be an MBR, which is Master Boot Record. Don't ask me what that does. I mean, I know it's some kind of a record in the operating system to boot your computer. But that did not really solve my problem, because I went back and installed a brand new operating system, did all sorts of stuff. And actually, this hard drive I've got is a brand new hard drive. It's probably about 90 days old, so it's not even been in the computer for a year yet. I checked the RAM again and put the old stuff back in, still had the problem. And let me just give you some troubleshooting tips on the things that I've learned on fixing computers. A lot of times when you have the blue screen of death, now not all the time, but the majority of my time that I've had a blue screen of death on my computer, it was a RAM issue. Now, I don't know how long you've had your computer for, but if you've had it for, say, at least 4 to 5 years, and you've never replaced a part in it, it's about time to. If you use your computer a lot, and it's on every day, running for, well, let's just say 12 hours, because I'll run my computer for 12 hours a day. Some run 24 hours a day because of the different things that are on it, and in other videos I'll explain why. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the black screen of death and how to fix it. So, the one thing I went and tested on this computer when I was having this black screen of death, I reloaded the operating system, and on the operating system itself, I went and made different partitions. Now, any of you that have did your own computer repairs know what a partition is. Now, for those that never have customized your own computer, a partition is basically like a file folder on in your cabinet, in your filing cabinet. That's basically what a partition is. It's basically a folder on the same hard drive, but it looks like a real hard drive. It operates like a real hard drive. Well, it is a hard drive, but it's a partition on the physical disk. And so I customized my hard drive to actually have a bunch of different partitions. And one's for backup, one's for video applications. So when I made the partitions and I formatted the drive, and usually when I format drives, I will make a bunch of partitions at once and have them all formatting. Well, I did this as usual, and the hard drive or not the hard drive, but the computer itself, locked up. That's unusual, just for formatting a partition on a hard drive, and for any partition for that matter. So I rebooted it, of course, and still, I did my slower steps. Basically, to me, there's something wrong with the hard drive. And now I didn't really find that out until I did my other setup. I found out that the black screen of death is a hard drive failure. Now, there's a lot of things that go into a hard drive that fail. And one of my failures that I had in another machine is that it was acting funny. It would all of a sudden just lock up for no reason. The mouse would be gone. The screen would be there, and sometimes the mouse would work, and I could still operate some programs that were open, but the physical computer I couldn't get access to. So one day, I come along and the computer's been running, and I leave the house for just probably about a half hour. Come back and the computer's frozen. Turn it back on and it says boot drive failure. Well, come to find out the hard drive died. So basically what's going on in this computer, it's another hard drive failure. I went back and I looked at the place where I bought it on Amazon. And actually, I can't believe I did this. This was a dumb mistake on my part. I bought a refurbished hard drive. And at the time, I was putting a lot of money into it, and I didn't see anything wrong with a refurbished hard drive. I mean, it had a 1-year warranty on it and all this stuff. And I asked a friend one time what a refurbished meant, and they said that it's basically a hard drive or anything that they've taken, for example. Whether it be a TV set, a DVD player, etc., and basically fix it. Well, these people on Amazon were saying that these type of, and it's a Western Digital. This is supposed to be a good brand hard drive. Now I'm kind of wondering about Western Digital now, and for the fact that I've had major failures with the professional grade hard drive. And that's one thing I don't understand about Western Digital is why do they have so many different colored hard drives? They've got green, they've got blue, they've got black, they've got purple, they got some kind of orangey looking color. And they're all for different things. Back in the old days, they were just one color. It was black. And it was one speed. Now they got all sorts of speeds. I won't go into the speeds, but the ones that I buy are 7,200 RPMs, and that's what they should be running at. And the green ones are very slow because they are earth friendly and power saving. Not in a computer, you don't. Anyways, I know I'm getting off the subject of fixing black screens in your computer. But basically what I'm getting at with the hard drive is that when the hard drive is starting to fail, and sometimes you don't even know that it's failing, and I find that the quieter hard drive, you cannot detect a problem with it. Now some of the old hard drives I've had, when they start to fail, they just tick. I mean, you hear this tick-ting, tick-ting, tick-ting in the drive inside the computer. And I'm like, what is that racket? Well, it was the hard drive failing. And one day it just would come back on and just go tick, 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 tick. It was gone. It was just dead. But now these new silent hard drives, you cannot detect when the hard drive's failing. And so it takes a while to find your problem. But let me get back to the age of the computer. If you have a computer that's, like I said, like it's 4 or 5 years old, you've had factory parts in it. If you're not afraid to take apart your computer to replace parts, I recommend doing it. because you can find a better power supply, or any part for that matter, than having some Joe Schmo repair your computer for megabucks. And they're going to charge you a lot more than it is to buy the part at a store, or at least on the internet. I'm not trying to wreck local businesses, but they're so expensive. And when you get stuff on the internet, you get it for cost for the most part. I mean, yeah, they do make some money off it, but it's more reasonable. So these are the parts that you should be looking at to replace in your computer. Is CD-ROM drive or DVD-ROM drive, DVD burners, power supplies, RAM, hard drives. If you have it's not a built-in sound card, but if you have one that's in a slot, whether it's PCI or PCIe or one of those other fancy names for the slots on your computer. Now, I don't understand what these mean. I don't understand what PCI means or PCI Express. I just know what to look for. And the other thing that you need to look at is, and I think I've already said it, is your hard drive. Now, the mechanical parts are the ones that are going to fail the most out of anything. I mean, the solid state stuff, yes, that can fail, but mainly it's the moving parts. And the stuff that, and like video cards, that's another thing. But the major problems that a computer has is, like I just mentioned, power supply, RAM, hard drive, and I can say a video card could cause a problem, but if you take your video card out of your computer, now if you have a built-in one that's right onto your motherboard, then you can't replace it. You can put another card in your computer to replace what is built in on your computer. But if you have one that's in one of those slots, you can just pop it out and replace it. Now, one of the things that I have found with repairing computers is if anything goes. Now, let me just tell you about the drives. I have found that a DVD burner fails more often than a CD-ROM or a DVD-ROM. I have no idea why that is, but that thing can throw a humdinger in your computer. And I recommend having some kind of backup software. And a lot of times, when something fails, it's better just to rebuild your computer from scratch. And I don't mean scratch, I mean you replace your CD drive or your DVD drive, or now they've got Blu-ray drives for your computer. You replace them. The only things that I have found that are hard to replace are laptop parts. Now, if you're a laptop user, you're looking at extra money. And I've fixed laptops, but I'll tell you what, those things are tough. And they're just compact, whether it's the hard drives, the CD drive, even the RAM. And you basically got to strip that thing right down to bare bones to get at the RAM. And if you're not up to doing laptops, then I don't recommend it. But a desktop, it's quite easy to fix. And I'd rather fix a desktop over a laptop. I've done some upgrades to a laptop that I didn't have to fix, but even just getting at the RAM was just tough. So let me show you what I mean with the black screen of death on this computer. And I've got my monitor over here, and I'll turn the computer on, and you can actually see it says XP, and then it just goes boom, and it doesn't load. Although sometimes I have found it, even with repairing computers, that the computer will play with you. And what I mean is, one time it won't work, but then it sits overnight, it will start working. Or you start talking about it, like on a video like I am, it'll start working, and it's not working right. I don't know why it does that, but it just does. So let me show you that screen. I mean, there's not too much that I can really go into detail about showing you how to fix it, except to replace your parts. And let me show you that screen now. Alright, so the computer's turned on. And there, it went into black screen of death. That and the monitor is all lit. You can see the blue lights on it, but it's actually just black video. I don't think I can film this to show you the actual video that it's black, because it's just black. You can see right here my monitor has not gone into the standby state because the light on the monitor is still blue. When it goes into standby mode, it's some kind of yellowy orange light. So you know it's working. It's just that you can't see anything. So it's hard to guess what's going on with this computer. So here's my computer. It's all open because I'm working on it right now. And I'm going to be replacing the hard drive in it. So basically, it's hard to see the RAM inside the computer, and I don't think I can light it up good enough to show you. But I can show you a few parts that are visible to the eye, like the box on the right side of your screen. That's the power supply, right there. And these two units are your CD drives. And right down here is your hard drive. And I've got one extra bay for another hard drive. So, and over here, I don't know if you can see it too well, but there's the, on the top card is the sound card. And the bottom card that you see that's kind of bluish black, that's the video card. And those things can be replaced very easily. Now this computer came with an internal sound card built right onto the motherboard. But I do not like the sound that comes off the motherboard sound cards. So I've always put another sound card in. And so once you replace your parts, you just install your operating system back again, and then it should start working. Now this is one of the old RAM sticks that I've replaced out of that computer. Now there's one way to tell when you've got cheap RAM, and I mean dirt cheap. This was from the manufacturer itself. I've never replaced RAM in this computer until now. The way to tell is if the silicon chips, which are the black pieces right here, right there, that's the silicon chips, if they do not say the brand on the RAM, on those silicon chips, then you know that you got a poor quality stick of RAM. Like the new RAM that I've got, it's already installed into the computer, but it says P and Y on the silicon chips. And then it also says P and Y on this label right here. Well, this one is not P and Y. And the other way to tell whether you have good RAM or not is for the fact that it tells you what the part number is. I don't know if you can see that really good or not. But the RAM that I just got tells me that it's DDR2. Now do not ask me what these numbers mean. but you have to replace DDR2 with DDR2. Now, there's some other specs that I can't really remember what it's called. I think it might be the... Now, don't quote me, but there's some kind of a speed. I think it's like megahertz or something. I can't remember right off the bat. But the faster the RAM is, the better. So, I can't remember what I've got in it now, but it's faster than this stuff is. Because this computer, when it was running good, before the hard drive failed, it was beautiful. And it was nice. It's been faster now than it ever has been when it was brand new. So this is how you can tell if you've got good RAM or not, is by being able to tell the part numbers on it. Now, this thing doesn't say, I mean, it does tell you that it's a 1 gigabit stick. Now that's good, but if I'm wanting to replace this, it does not tell me what the specs are for it. So the newer computers are, higher than DDR2, but this is what this computer takes. And it isn't that old of a computer. But this is the only way that you can stop your blue screen of death is by replacing your RAM. Now, not like I said before, all RAM or all blue screens of deaths are not because of bad RAM. It could be a program issue, it could be a virus, it could be anything. But if you start out with the things that you can fix, like replacing RAM or your hard drive, or your power supply, then that way you know that you got brand new parts and they're working better. But I would definitely stay away from refurbished. Refurbished is junk. I don't care what brand you get. So I hope that helps you to solve your black screen or your blue screen of death issues. Now, everybody's problem is going to be different than what I've got. But you can pretty much tell if you are a fixer and you like to fix things and get it working yourself. I know you can fix this. And if you're kind of one of these people like me when I first started, like I was scared to death of taking apart a computer, well, there's nothing to be scared about because you can just get in there and replace parts. Now, the only thing that I do recommend is that you just be careful on pressure for the RAM because you could accidentally, if you push too hard or if you get the RAM in the wrong way and you're applying too much pressure, you could break the circuit board that's on the motherboard. So you need to put the RAM back in exactly as the way it came out. That's the only way I can help you with that. Is just to just put enough so it just goes click. You can feel it go click, and it's very simple. And sometimes, like this computer will do it. It'll go, and when I turn it on, it beeps. It says RAM has increased. Now, if I'm replacing 4 gigabytes of RAM with another 4 gigabytes of RAM, then the computer does not tell me that. But if it has 1 or 2 in it, then it will tell me that. But all computer manufacturers are different and motherboards. So, I hope this gets you back on your feet, and I'll see you next time for Pushing Technology to the Limit.